It's Thursday, it's 8 p.m, and it's the Big Metal Detecting Podcast.
Welcome to the Big Metal Detecting Podcast.
Good evening, one and all, and welcome to the Big Metal Detecting Radio Show, because I said it wrong at the start, as I do. Yes, we've had a bit of a rename, changing it from the Big Metal Detecting Podcast to the Big Metal Detecting Radio Show, so I need prompting on that, don't forget. Well, I hope you're all right this week. All having a dandy week, all out and about metal detecting. Lots of finds. We've had one or two come through to us that I'll be putting online this week via the Archaeology and Metal Detecting podcast. And as we do at the start of the show, a few little articles that are online at the moment regarding coins, metal detecting and such like. The first one, dandy little one, and I'm sure if anybody finds one of these, you'll be more than happy. A Victorian-era £5 gold coin showing the 20-year-old Queen leading a lion representing the burgeoning British Empire has sold for a record £530,000. The 1839 Victoria Una and the Lion £5 shows the Queen leading a lion. It shows Victoria Una from Edmund Spenser's Elizabethan poem Fairy Queen. Only 400 of the coins by William Wyan of the Royal Mint were ever struck. So there you go. If you find one of them metal detecting, I'm sure you'll be more than happy. Second up this week, there's not much actually in the way of actual news articles that I have been able to source this week. Obviously, we share multiple things on the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine, but the second one was a treasure hunter believes he has unearthed an ancient gold ring in the Meon Valley. Now, I had to actually look for the Meon Valley because I've never heard of it, and it seems to be in the Hampshire area. I'm sure many of you know that already. Waterlooville resident Peter Beasley, 78, was metal detecting with his fellow amateur archaeologist Lee McGowan when he made the discovery in a farmer's field in West Meon. Mr. Beasley believes the ring dates back to the late Norman period and could be a wedding ring. He was walking through the field when his metal detector made a noise, as it does. Had been over the patch of ground hundreds of times, but after digging down, he found what looked like a gold ring. The item has been passed on to Hampshire County Council's Finds Liaison Officer Katie Hines, where, under the Treasure Act, it has to go through the official process of confirming what the item is and validating whether it is classed as treasure. So, congratulations to Peter Beardsley. Peter Beardsley, I thought actually he played for Newcastle. Peter Beasley. Fantastic sounding find, and we look forward to learning more on that. I've had a bit of news today. Now, I'm not 100% sure. Information is very, very scarce. But allegedly, somewhere in the northeast, there's been a possible Roman hoard retrieved. And that's been reported. Somebody contacted me if I had any more information on that. Sadly not, but hoping to hear more. I've been given the identity of the group, but for obvious reasons I don't want to pan that out and about. So anyway, looking forward to learning more about this potential Roman hoard. The other big thing in the papers of the past week is they keep popping up now and again is with green waste and the issues in the UK of green waste. Hopefully I'm going to speak to a gentleman in a couple of weeks at the National Council for Metal Detecting meeting and see if he'll come on and discuss green waste, because he's doing quite a lot of work on it at the moment. And hopefully we'll be able to move forward ourselves as a community and arrest the issue. Let's hope. Other big news this week. Now, please, anyone who hasn't already acquired your ticket for Spring Detectable in Oxfordshire, they're selling, and they're selling quick, so please try and get your tickets as soon as possible. Myself and Luke, definitely myself and hopefully Luke, given work, etc., We'll be at Springer Detectable for the Saturday and Sunday, definitely. Maybe late Friday, unfortunately. I don't have holidays, so I've got to work. So, obviously, come and speak to ourselves. We will be producing the Big Metal Detecting radio show live from the event as well. And also, it will be the first issue of the paper version of the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine free this year. So you'll be able to acquire that there as well. Anyway, without further ado and preambling and waffling, I'd like to introduce our guests. Now, the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine launched around, I think it's either 3 or 4 years in March this year. I'll go for 4 because I can't remember because there's been so much going on. And one of our first people that we spoke to and we tied up with in a decent relationship was now a good friend of mine, Mr. Lance Goolsby of the Global Detecting Adventures podcast. Lance, it's a massive pleasure to speak to you. How are you this evening?
Doing really good. I'm finally glad to be on your show. I can't believe that you guys finally got it up and running. Well, I just love hearing you guys.
It's been such a long time coming, Lance. There was a call for it. We filled a niche. Obviously, we were taking part in All Metal Mode UK. That had to stop for Mike's personal reasons, so it left a void. And we had so many, we had Detectable, the Rodney Cook Memorial Rally to go to, etc. We couldn't not. So, and I'm enjoying it. And thankfully, we've got quite a decent audience and following. And now people will be able to say hello to you via the stream as well. So here we are.
I'm so glad to be on here. Thanks for bringing me in. I know I've been absent for quite a while, and I think we'll probably get to the bottom of that here in the course of the next hour or so.
So, first and foremost, when and how did you begin metal detecting? Obviously, I know, but other people don't.
My metal detecting started, what is it? I think it's about a little over 4 years ago now. I suffered a huge mental breakdown in the beginning of 2012. And what had happened is I was suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder from my time in Iraq and during my time in Kosovo as well. And I didn't know exactly what was going on, and it really affected me. So I kept pushing all these feelings and all these thoughts and pushing them down and digging them deeper inside myself. And what happened is that eventually, it's like a firecracker. You light the end and that flame goes inside. The housing of the firecracker can only hold it for so long before it actually explodes. And that's what basically happened with me in 2012. Once that happened, I was trying to find some kind of an out, some kind of something that I could do that would kind of fill a void for me, something that helped me release some of my tension, helped me calm down while I was out doing it. And I started watching the American television series Diggers with my now friends George and KG and Ringy, or George and Tim. And so I started watching them. I was like, I could do that. And I have this love of history anyway. So this kind of would get me out in the middle of nowhere and get me actually finding history and being able to hold something tangent in my hands when I do. And so I started talking with my son, and he ended up buying one of the cheapest knockoff Garretts that I'd ever used. But the thing is, it worked very badly, but it worked. And it was just enough that it sunk the hook into my cheek, and I've been there ever since.
And you've had an extraordinary voyage with it as well. Not only, obviously, the podcast, the YouTube videos as well, but you've had a lot of quite significant finds for where you live in Germany.
Yeah, well, the area where I'm at, there's probably only about 5 of us that metal detect over here, and so there's not a lot of, I guess you could say, competition for the spots. It's just a matter of trying to convince farmers and people who own wooded areas to let us get out there and actually start walking around and digging. Because a lot of times they think we're going to be going out there with backhoes and just tearing everything apart, when the reality is we make a small hole and we can only go down 12, 13 inches at the most, and we fill it all back in as we move. But I found some what I consider to be some really good stuff, from World War II relics to wax seals that go back. One of them goes back 100 plus, and the other one goes back almost 200 years. And oddly enough, they were almost both right on top of each other, found a year apart.
That's fantastic. So why are you in Germany, Lance? I take it's because of your marriage, your wife or what have you, that you've ended up as an American in Europe.
Yeah, I was in the United States Army for 15 years. I had been planning on retiring until we got to Iraq in 2003. And once I got back from Iraq, I had just basically canceled any idea that I was going to retire, because the unit, as soon as we got back, was scheduled to leave 9 months later for Afghanistan. And being an airborne infantry unit, we kind of had the tendency to go in the front lines. And for me, it ended up being the best move, because our unit, they suffered a whole lot of casualties during the time that they were over there. And so, I got married back in 1997 to a German wife. She was from the town where I was at here in Schweinfurt, as a matter of fact, in Germany. And
Stu, Lance, have my system gone down? Hopefully, my system. I've got it. Must be due to the weather, but my internet's being a bit of an arse tonight, so I do apologise. Oh, hello, I'm back. Yes, I'm having an internet problem. I had to get the children to turn off their systems just before the show, because I had a bit of an outage, and hopefully I'm back now, Lance.
Yeah. You're back with me. I see you.
I do apologise. I'm hoping, let me just check with people on Spreaker as well. People listening on Spreaker, Scott, Robert and Tony, am I back and okay? Can you hear me on there? I'm hoping that's okay. So I'll just give that a minute. In fact, I'll ask the
Give a shout out to Scott and Kimmy over there.
Just trying to find out. I'm back. Right. Thank you, Robert. I do appreciate that. Sorry, as I say, I've had an internet outage. It must be down to the weather. That's all I can suggest, because it's never had it before. Lance, I do apologise.
Hey, if anybody has listened to the GDA radio podcast, we have technical problems. It seemed like every week we did the show, something technical happened and just fell apart. So I completely understand it.
Honestly, Lance, from the moment we started, there's been issue after issue. There's been sound issues, there's been me hearing issues, connection to Skype issues, other people's issues, computer restarts like you did before the show. I couldn't believe it. And then every time we just about settle and get everything perfect, something totally different happens, i.e. tonight. Never had that before.
Today it was weird. It was my email client. It just decided to take every bit of hard drive and just slagged my computer to death. It was just moving slow. I don't know what it was.
Back to metal detecting, my friend. Have you been out this year at all? Yet?
No, actually, I got a chance to go out. Last year, I had 2 knee surgeries. It was the beginning of the year was my second knee surgery. So I didn't get a chance to go out for the beginning of the year. Then I was planning to get out around the July timeframe, when I was able to actually walk and get across some of the fields, and they had been cut. And unfortunately, my wife's father ended up being diagnosed with terminal cancer in April of last year, and then July, my father ended up going to the hospital. He had a blocked artery that was feeding his intestines, and they had to remove a large portion of his intestines. So I flew back to the States to be with him for a month and to help nurse him back to health and be with my mother to help her out for the time. And by the time I got back, the fields were all planted. A week later, my father-in-law died. And I got a chance to get out once, and that has been the last time I got out in like the last year and a half.
It's been a nightmare, hasn't it?
You know, it has been one of the worst years in my life. And this year hasn't started out good either. We're in the third week, and I've been written out of work sick for 3 weeks now. I got back issues and health problems and everything else.
Well, we'll
watch out for that flu. Getting old is not easy.
It's not. I feel that. Luckily, Lance, I've got a bit of obvious research. You've done a question and answers for me a while ago for the magazine, so I've got some things I can ask you, which we've spoke about in the past. Obviously, again, other people haven't heard you. So, what machine are you currently using, Lance?
Well, right now I have two machines. I no longer have the XP Deus. A lot of people will boo me for that one, but I am using my backup machine is a Tesoro Cibola, and I have the Rudis Alter 71. That is my main machine, and I have 3 or 4 spools for it, and all the bells and whistles that you can get for it. So I love this Rudis more than I could even try to say. It's amazing.
There's a lot of people who are in the chat rooms and what have you who are listening. Tony Kaywood, he's Team Rootis UK. Luke's obviously Team Rootis UK. Adrian Gaylor, who's on in a couple of weeks, is Team Rootis. You know, we've got a lot of people who are using the Rootis, and they love it. They love the speed. They love the ability of what it can do. Personally, I use it, and I'm still trying to suss out the one frequency, never mind 71.
Now, once for me, it was a pretty easy transition going from the XP Deus to the Alter 71 because they are very similar. But to me, the Alter 71 has a lot more personality that you can program into it. So that really helps the person who's metal detecting create a metal detecting experience that's personalized for that person. If you know anything about the XP Deus, it's a super sweet, fast reacting machine, and it has a whole lot of programmability into it. The difference that I truly love about the Alter 71 that I think has really taken XP off its pedestal, or at least put it down one more step, is the fact that you can program it to the exact way that you metal detect, down to having a specific tone signal for a specific kind of metal. So you have a range of frequencies, and you can assign for a specific frequency range, that tone will specifically, well, boy, did I say specifically enough, that range will have that tone. So you know once you swing over and you hear that tone, it's going to be whatever it was you programmed for silver, for gold. If you want it for tin, if you're looking specifically for tin items, you can have that where it could actually program just for those sounds. It is really a truly amazing metal detector. I did love the XP Deus, but this one, like I said, it has put it down a notch.
And obviously, I've heard a lot of people saying about the speed of the ability of which the machine works. Is it as quick as, do you think it's as quick as other people say?
I truly do. Actually, I've had multiple times when I've had signals on top of each other, and it has actually rang both signals in a single sweep. So as I'm digging down, I'll find the junk signal, and directly below it will be the treasure signal. And it was registering both those tones at the exact same time. So it was really quick getting across. I'd probably say, now don't quote me on this, but probably about a half a second delay is all it is.
Yeah.
At the most.
And it's not a weighty machine either. It's no Deus when it comes to the weight, but it's not heavy.
No. No, it is definitely not a heavy machine. The XP Deus, if I remember right, it was 40 grams or 70 grams, I think it was. This one's 1.2 kilos, I believe. Don't quote me on it.
So, Rutus is the way forward.
I believe so. I believe if any of the rumors that I'm hearing that they're trying to design something new is true, I think that they're going to really knock a lot of people's socks off on it.
Do you know, the last 2 years at Detectable, we've been lucky enough to spend time at both occasions with the person who designed it, and secondly, is it Aris? Somebody's going to have to correct me, and I apologise because I always get it wrong. And obviously, Viola, his sister or partner, again, I get it all wrong. Absolutely lovely people. We couldn't have wished for a nicer people to meet. We've met some fabulous people along our journey, but they're right up there, and they're so passionate about the machine too.
Yeah, they truly are. In fact, Viola herself, she's been helping me out a lot of times with the settings, and anytime I have a question, she really jumps onto the emails or messages and has been helping me out as well. So hopefully I can get some more questions and get in touch with her again this year.
Do you know as well, honestly, of all the people I noticed, the Team UK members, and I know there's a few of them that I'll forget the names, but honestly, give Luke a shout. He's seeing Luke with the Rutus explaining it to people at the events was pretty eye-opening, to be honest. I learned just by sitting away and watching and listening to what he was saying, little bits and bobs. And also on the Rutus Team UK website and app, they've got all the settings of the different users. So, for instance, Adrian Gaylor, Tony Kaywood, Luke's, I don't think Luke's are on there, but all, and obviously the the person who created the machine, all their different settings are on there. I tell you what, honestly, I've used what I was using, put Tony Kaywood's in, bang, it was shelling peas. So have a look at that, Lance. And obviously, your terrain's different, your ground's different, but I'm sure what they've got that you can tweak to whatever you need yourself, and there's some fantastic little things in there.
Yeah, that's right. It's Eric. Eric.
Yeah.
Eric.
Harris. Eric. Do apologise.
Rutina.
Eric Rutner. He's the creator of the Rutus. But as I say, any additional assistance. Obviously, Viola will able to give you one plan of action, but with the Team Rutus UK website, you've got multiple choices of things that you can go and play with. So give it a go when your knees are working.
I gotta give you an honest. I gotta give Luke an honest plug, because he's the one that gave me the heads up about this machine. He's the one that kept whispering in my ear to go get it, go get it, go get it, go get it. So, Luke, you sold me on it. I got it, and you were absolutely right, bud. You were 100% right.
He knows that machine. You also notice over this shoulder that I'm pointing at here tonight, I realised at the end of last week's show there was an ironing board there. So I've put a sign up instead tonight.
I've got, if you anybody watching, I've got behind me, I've got boards that I still need to put up on my walls over here, and I've got a helmet, a stormtrooper helmet that I still need to put together. So my guest bed is completely filled and not a spot open.
And the big giveaway with all the bits and bobs on the wall behind the Star Wars, that's your other passion.
Yeah, Star Wars, basically, I'm one of the biggest nerds that I know. I collect toys. I have every single wall in here is completely covered with toys from Star Wars. Over here, I got the Batman. I got Marvel characters. I think there's even a huge Captain America up there. I think I paid $100 and something for that figure. I've gone out of control with my collecting, but Star Wars has been one of my passions since 1977, really. the first time I saw it.
I'm one of the biggest nerds that I know.
I'm trying to play, and I'm getting reverb. I'm with this the video cast now being available via social media. If I try and comment, it comes up big and starts talking, so I don't want that. So I'm not 100% sure. So if I don't respond to people on the social media video cast, I do apologise. I'm trying to suss out to do it, to be honest, without it taking over my head. So apologies for that. I had a sound problem earlier as well. Luke said there was a better reverb, so I played with the Behringer auto tune or what have you, and I turned my sound quite right down. So there's another thing I've learned tonight.
So that's another thing. You ended up getting almost the same one, same Behringer I got. How's that working out for you guys?
Well, the sound is obviously working. Sound is 100% better than it was originally. Originally, I was going totally via the computer, and there was a lot of issues, and it took me a bit of a few weeks to be able to suss it out. But yeah, it's working fine. As hopefully you'll be able to hear on if you pop in on the replay or something. The podcasts themselves they've just gotten exponentially better than they were from October through to, well, the best show I think we've done still is the Boxing Day one, the Metal Detecting Reviewer 2019. That was to me my personal favourite, and the sound quality is bob on, so have a listen to that. Scotty DeBay says you are the Padawan to Lance's podcast Jedi.
Scotty. Both Scotty and Kimmy, they're great. I love watching their videos. He's a crack up.
Do you know, I met them personally. Luke's met them a number of times. I met them for the first time when we were at Detectival last year, and Kimmy was complaining about a bad back. Now, you've not met me, Lance, but I'm 6'1" and I'm a bit belly wide. And I picked her up squozer and clicked her back. And she was walking around, oh, that's brilliant. And I thought, I shouldn't have done that. I might have hurt her.
Yeah, I've been trying to get out to meet you guys. I wanted to get out there this year, but you know, everything that happened at the beginning of the year and the middle of the year, I just couldn't get out there for Detectival. And this year, not going to be able to do it either. But I am planning a European tour sometime pretty soon. Hopefully in 2022, I should be able to get around.
Well, you know, you've got multiple people who will invite you on Permissions Metal Detecting. I'd love to meet you. Obviously, myself and Luke right up there. So anytime you want to, you know, participate over here, even to the point that we'll try and sort you out with a metal detector safe, bringing your own.
Yeah. Well, I'll definitely be bringing my own. There's a couple people that I definitely want to meet. Scott and Kimmy, one of them. You and Luke definitely got to meet up with you guys. We're going to go hit a wrestling event and then maybe go hit a field somewhere.
Oh, yes. I'll take you wrestling.
And then I'm going to go hit my buddy Robert Hope. He's out there in the East Coast. Definitely want to hit up with him. And
yeah, he's listening tonight. He's in the chat room on the Spreaker podcast, so he's there. He's been really looking forward to listening to you tonight. He's for a number of weeks, every time I mentioned it, he said he's really looking forward to you actually being interviewed instead of being the interviewer. So
I think I've known Robert. I think I've known Robert almost as long as I've been metal detecting. I think I met him on Deep Digger Dan's forum, where I first started the GDA, where the GDA group really came from. Mm. A lot of people, I'm looking at this here, a lot of people wondering where where GDA started.
Yeah.
It actually started shortly after I was metal detecting. I had the idea to create videos, which was a collaboration of other people's videos from around the world, show some of their great finds from a single video there. So in one video, we'd have somebody from the United States, somebody from Europe, maybe somebody from Australia, And we just showcased some of the great finds from the week. And each week we had a different video. But the problem was that became so taxing on me because I was alone making a 15, 20-minute video with special effects and everything else. And so I was like, well, this is kind of tough. So I started the group, and there was a good 7, 8, 9 of us that actually started it. And from there, it just kind of fizzled away. Deep Digger Dan shut down his forum, and it just kind of, each person went their own ways. I mean, in Australia, we had not Pond Guru. Oh, good Lord, no. We we had a couple people that were down there, and they stuck around, and we started actually talking about doing a podcast. And Dave DiNatale was one of the members, and I talked to him about it. He's like, well, I don't think that's going to work. And so one day I just sat down with my computer, kind of like what you did. Sat down with a computer, said, you know what, I'm just going to do it. I had this cat from South Australia. He was a gold hunter, and he uses a metal detector to find nuggets. And so I talked with him and did a 20, 30-minute show and put it all together and talked to Dave. And he was on board. Dave DiNatale, from that point on, GDA, the podcast, was officially created. And it was a really, really great experience. 3 years of good podcasting that I truly liked watching how it evolved from just this little garage thing to having several sponsors and having a bunch of people listening in and talking with us. And I feel humbled just being able to talk is basically all it was.
And if I'm not wrong, Lance, I know your Facebook group's got like 5,500 members, but the followers of the podcast itself was 17,000, 18,000 last time I looked, I think, something like that. Very high figures nonetheless.
Yeah, there was quite high. We have a lot of people that were following the show, but not everybody was downloading and listening. Trust me, we don't have the listens that you guys do. But, you know, I don't know. I just really, truly enjoyed doing it. But after a while, it just started becoming too stressful for me. I had to kind of pull back a little bit.
Well, with everything that's been happening in your life, Lance,
Yeah.
and obviously doing it for so long, I mean, you know, sometimes when I've been doing it in the past, I've like, oh, it's Thursday night, do I have to do this? But then tonight, Lance, you know, for instance, tonight, you actually get to have a conversation with somebody one-to-one. Nobody else you realise is there, but, you know, this is the first time me and you have had a conversation where I can see your face at the same time.
Actually, I think it is. I think it's the first time we've actually stared at each other.
So this is great on behalf of myself to be able to do that, and obviously now with the introduction of the video cast, you know, Luke can play behind the scenes. He's played multiple YouTube videos up there tonight and showed other things, as I'm sure you've spotted. But as you say, it's the first time we've actually done this, so, you know, this is how things progress. And next step is
this is gorgeous.
In public, isn't it?
Yeah, this is gorgeous. I wish we had this 2-3 years ago. This would have been fantastic.
Well, this has been Luke's idea for a while to move into this, to try and utilise this source. And if I'm not wrong, Scotty DeBay actually set him up with the link and what have you, and Luke's does what Luke does, and taught himself everything that needs to go on. And, you know, we don't see him on here. We saw him on a couple of weeks ago for doing the NCMD raffle, but other than that, he stays in the background and makes brilliant things happen.
He always does that, though. It's you know, even when you talk to him, he's always in the background, kind of whispering in your ear, telling you what's coming up next, and then suddenly it's just there. It's amazing.
I've just spotted now. I've shared the podcast from the main Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine Facebook page to the group, to the Big Metal Detecting podcast, and also to Global Detecting Adventures. And I'm not sure what questions are where. I can't keep up with all of them, but Jason Massey, who runs the Detecting for Veterans or Digging for Veterans, I apologise, Jason, if I've got that wrong. He's actually it's a lot of metal detecting rallies for veterans from the army, I presume in the UK, but it's actually got 25 US veterans coming over for their summer rally in September in Lincolnshire this year. So that's definitely something, again, that you need to put on your list to tie up with them maybe in the future when you come to the UK.
Definitely need to. That's one thing I was working with KG and Ringy, because we haven't had something like that in the United States to date yet. And both of them are really interested in doing something to not only, pat every single one of the service members who have sacrificed or served for their countries, but to create something for the ones who are suffering from even more. I mean, I have PTSD, but I'm not to the point of some of the ones that I've seen. There's even reports that say that there's veterans around the world, in the U.S. and the UK, approximately 23 a day are committing suicide. And these are just unbelievable numbers, and most of it's because our governments don't have the funding or the ability to be able to help the veterans the way that they should be able to. In some cases, they don't have the backing from the government to be able to help them either. So, yeah.
Now, obviously, speaking about things like that, about people committing suicide and such like, for anybody listening who does have a problem, there are multiple places throughout the internet to be able to find information of somebody you can communicate with and just get your words out. If you know me, I'm always here to listen to and try to help if I can. I'm no expert, but the offer's always there for people. If you do have something mentally challenging at the moment, and I don't know if I'm saying the correct terms, and I do apologise if that is the wrong terms. I'm doing a lot of apologising tonight, but please get in touch with me, or as I say, there's multiple places. Don't be the big man like I've been in the past and hold it all in. Get it out. It's far, far easier.
Yeah, that's exactly what my problem was. I was holding it in for too long, and it almost cost me my life, my family, and everything. Before you ever make that big move, there's always somebody to reach out to. Just make a simple hand gesture towards somebody. Reach out, look at somebody online, find a website, send a message, figure something out, talk with somebody. Don't just fall into that last decision, because it's going to be one that affects not just you, it affects everybody around you, and it is a horrible thing to do anyway.
It is. Lance, if you don't mind me asking, you've said you've got PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, is that correct?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
How has metal detecting helped you?
It's actually pretty cool, because one of the things that metal detecting does, and I don't know if a lot of people realize this, we're out in the wild, we're out in the fields, we're out by ourselves, listening to the sound of the wind blowing by, listening to the trees, listening to birds, maybe listening to the cars driving by on a freeway, and you're by yourself, able to just kind of relax. Your mind is occupied with the metal detector, swinging it back and forth, the tones that are coming in. You can have your thoughts and your emotions come in as well, but it comes in a more peaceful way. You're not surrounded by people. You're not in a situation like being in a city or a town where there's always people hustle and bustle around you, and that gives you the feeling of stress, kind of the feeling of being compacted into something. Being out metal detecting puts you out in the middle of the open and helps really relax, and that's how it really affected me. Once I got out there the first time, I was metal detecting near a castle when I first did it, one of the castles I was working at. But once I got out and into a field, I came back and I was so relaxed. I did not want to leave that field. It was absolutely amazing.
And obviously it's still helping today. I know it's been difficult for you to get out. You've told us about things that have occurred. But as I said to you on a private text this morning, let's get Lance's mojo back.
It is, and the thing is that even though I'm not getting out there metal detecting, the stuff that I've learned while I was metal detecting, I guess you could almost call it a meditation technique that I learned while I was out there. I'm able to take it with me when I'm at work or when I'm at home or if I'm driving in the car. It really does help. And plus, I do go to therapy and everything else. My therapist does help as well, and I'm not ashamed to tell people I go to therapy. But it's one of those things. It's a really great experience for somebody who has any kind of a mental issue, and it's a mental issue is something that I got to say, most men will try to avoid to say that they have a mental issue because that puts them in the role of being a weakling, being unable to support themselves. Don't worry about it. The true act of strength is admitting you have it and getting help for it. And I think a lot of people, if they could do that, get past that one hurdle, they'll see that they'll have a much better experience. And metal detecting has really been my lifesaver. It truly and literally lifesaver is a word I could use.
And for me, obviously I've had issues in the past mentally. The Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine was launched on the back of me deciding, right, I've had enough, I need to get my mind back into gear, having a period of time off work. And it started as something for me to get my head right. And obviously, when I was going to see doctors and such like, the first thing is, I said to them, what do you do for a hobby? And I said, metal detect. Well, listen, if metal detecting works, we know you're on the sick from work, but at the end of the day, if it's helping you, go metal detective. It's helping your mindset. And it did. It was brilliant. And then obviously to further that, what was supposed to be starting as a group for friends or a website for friends to visit, what have you, obviously it's blown up exponentially. So thanks to that, I think a lot of what I do on a daily basis, sourcing information, sharing information, putting things, communicating with people, for me, that's brilliant. It keeps me going. It's probably saved my sanity.
Yeah, it truly has. I mean, I've loved it. I love it. I'm trying to even remember how you and I and Luke met up for the first time. I can't even remember that.
I think, if I'm not wrong, I was pointed towards the podcast, and I introduced myself. We communicated, and I said, would you? I think you actually put an RDS feed on your website, so anything that we published via the website automatically came up on your website. And obviously, right. Then we were helping get guests. Obviously, Luke came on board. He was far better at getting guests than I was, and he was putting guests your way. And it was it sort of it just grew by itself, really.
That's right. We were cross promoting each other for listens and reads. That's right. I forgot exactly how that came about, but that's exactly what it was. And then when Luke came on, he was throwing guests at me. He's like, Lance, would you like another guest? And I was like, okay. And then next thing I know, I got a list of 5 messages on my Facebook, and he's throwing everybody he knows at me.
And also his wife listened to you in the shower.
Oh, yeah, Laura. Laura was my favorite. I think I had... once I found out she was listening in the shower, I think I was working up a joke in every single episode about it, or mentioning somebody in the shower every single episode. So, yeah. Laura and the twins, I got to say, Luke, Laura, and the twins, they're just absolutely fantastic.
I tell you what, it's been great watching the twins grow as well, because Luke's obviously been taking them metal detecting, and I remember the first time Laura went out and she found a big, massive coin. I think it was a Gothic coin. I can't remember which one. And she was well proud of that, because she always, I think she always called him a geek before. But then obviously she was doing the news reading for you as well. We passed her the news, and Laura came and done the news reading for the GDA. Yeah,
she definitely did. We had some amazing people on the show. I just got so lucky to have some of the people that I knew. I mean, Siren Kimmy out of the States came on to the show, and she started doing her little Siren Kimmy bit. And then even Patrick White, I don't know if you remember him.
The Vulcan Treasure Society?
Yeah, exactly. He's a couple coins short of $1. And but he is one of the greatest people to listen to when he talks about some of his things. Like he made a Halloween story about something. I can't remember what it was anymore, but it was just hilarious talking about digging in a graveyard. But we've had some amazing people on the show. I wish I could remember everybody who came in, but there was just so many for a while. We had so much fun, absolutely so much fun.
And via talking to them people, I'm sure you learned a lot about the hobby yourself, even more.
Oh, definitely. In fact, I learned the most. The greatest thing about this whole thing was I was able to learn so much more about the hobby and the history around it, just from being able to talk to everybody and figuring out exactly, what kind of machines I want to use, what kind of spools I want to use out on what kind of fields, what kind of settings do I need for highly mineralized soil like we have here in Germany, or more of a sandy soil like they have over in the east coast of the United States. It was just truly amazing, the stuff that I was able to find out and apply it to myself. So it's really been an experience being able to do that, and it helped me learn. And I honestly say I'm not the expert. I'm just the guy that has a mouth that talks to the experts, and every single one of you out there are them.
Do you know, that's exactly what I say myself more or less every week. We, myself and Luke, are basically a conduit between it for information, people and information. We're the conduit, we're the middleman.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. Now, I do have a little bit of news in regards to GDA. Now, there's a little bit of a delay right now, but GDA was supposed to start up again this month. I'm not entirely sure when it's going to be kicking off again. GDA has been handed over to a new host for now. The host is 42, which is the Roman numeral XLII. She's in Adelaide, Australia. Truly wonderful, wonderful woman. One of the biggest hearts in metal detecting that I've seen in a long time. She is dedicated to metal detecting like I couldn't ever probably be. But she has taken over the reins as host of the show, and hopefully she'll be coming up with the new shows really soon. But with the fires going on down in Australia right now, there has been a lot of issues with internet and a whole bunch of other things at the moment. So when she gets the chance to finally get on and get the show going, she'll definitely do that. So
Brilliant. Looking forward to that.
GDA is not leaving, and eventually I will be making a triumphant return as well.
Good. That's what we like to hear. I've been reading through the Q&A that we've done together, and I think it's about 3 years now, looking at the information on there. And I noticed what you thought at the time was one of your most important finds, and that was the medieval cross pendant. Tell us a bit about that, Lance. I got lucky. I got a very isolated permission. It was a farm field that was between two very ancient towns. And so I was able to go out onto the pasture, and I was digging, and they had just plowed, and they had plowed it deep. And we're talking good 12, 16-inch plow. So I was dealing with rock-hard mud clods because it was winter as well. And so it was rock-hard. And so I'm down on my knees. I got lucky. The signal wasn't too far down. I was able to flip the dirt clod over, and we're talking a good 10, 15-inch clod, and it was probably about an inch inside. Dug it up and didn't recognize what it was right away. And then all of a sudden I noticed that it was a cross, and
then I noticed that at the bottom of it looked almost like what I thought at first, at the very first, I was thinking, okay, somebody put grapes at the bottom of the cross. Maybe it was one of the wine producers near us. And then I started realizing, wait a second, the Knights Templar, one of their symbols was the cross on top of skulls. And once I started looking and cleaning it up just a little bit, I noticed that's exactly what it was. It was a cross, and it had 5 or 6 skulls at the base of the cross. Once I started doing a little bit more research into it, it turned out that it was from about the 1100s, so about the 12th century. And what it was a pendant usually worn by one of the family members for somebody who was in the Knights Templar and serving over in the Middle East. So it could have been anybody. It could have been somebody who went as the cook. But the fact that the family member was wearing it and at some point had fallen off and ended up in this field not too far. In fact, that same field where I'm sitting at in that video right now is exactly where it was found. And so I talked to the owner of the place and asked him, if this was something he'd want or if I could do something with it. And he said, yeah, do with it as you want. And my mother flew over, and she had just had triple bypass on her heart. And so I gave her that cross as a present, and she was absolutely awestruck with it, especially the fact that it's almost 1,000 years old.
Yeah. And of course, hello to Debbie Strobel, who may be watching, his mother.
Yeah.
Hi, Mom.
Yeah, Debbie is most likely here right now.
Do you know,
I'm not sure if she's able to listen in or where she is.
Do you know what the interesting thing is with that for me currently? I've got a massive, massive interest in the Templars, i.e. I've got about 10, 15 books. I'm a Freemason. When you step up in Freemason and you go through Arch or Chapter, there is a Templar thing. And one day when I get back into it properly, when I've got the time and I'm able to commit more, I will be going to KT, hopefully, Knights Templar, hopefully. And also, Lance, honestly, I'm watching currently Nightfall. I found it on Netflix. It's been out for a while. All about the Knights Templar, what happened in France, what have you. It's like Game of Thrones, but it's about the Knights Templar.
At the end of the Templar.
Yeah, end of their period and the lead up to it. Obviously, it's a lot taken for TV purposes, but fantastic series. The second season, maybe not as good as the first season, but the first season, if you got Netflix, have a look for Nightfall. Really, really good program.
Well, I know a little bit about the Templars. I know that the Templars were officially disbanded on Friday the 13th, not sure what month, in 1310.
Something like that. I think it might have been February. I'm going to look at my book.
But that's why Friday the 13th is considered unlucky to this day.
That's correct.
Because that is the day that the Templars were all murdered by the Catholic Church.
On the grounds of alleged heresy.
Yeah.
Devil worshipping and such like.
Supposedly witnessed by the King of France. Yeah. Because he owed a lot of money to the Templars.
Apparently so. But as I say, give that a watch, Lance. It may not be historically accurate as it could be, but fantastic program with a KT nonetheless. The other one I've got next on my list is The Lost Kingdom, which I think is to do with Anglo-Saxons and Vikings in the UK. So I'm looking forward to that next.
Yeah, that's probably as accurate and historically as the other one. Or, what I just got done watching The Witcher or...
Fabulous program.
Truly is. I love it.
I'm going to start singing in a minute. No, best not.
Actually, my ringtone is toss a coin to The Witcher, so that's all right.
That's where I was going to go.
But yeah, I love this. Little finds like that get me into the past, the history, and that's how I find these new things, and I just love it.
Kevin Whitmore, he said, hello. I've just found one of his comments. Do you know, Lance, how difficult it is, and you could tell everybody how difficult it is to keep up with everything that's going on when you're doing a live show?
I have two monitors. You can see me kind of looking back and forth. It's kind of weird for me because this is the first time I don't think I've been messing with knobs. But normally I have.
Could you rephrase that, please?
I have my mix board. I got my control board for the podcast on one monitor, and then I got the guests and everything else on the other one. So I'm always in the habit of looking over, and then I'm like, wait, I don't need to do anything. Then I just kind of hop back. I'll let you and Luke do it.
I'm trying, obviously, I'm keeping up. The Spreaker chat room's easy. It's there. It's fine. And then we've got the show, which have shared to several groups, and I'm not actually sure what comments I'm seeing, if they all converge into one stream or not. The YouTube I'm leaving directly to Luke because that'll be too many things. So I'm clicking between different things. I'm looking on my phone for people saying things to me via my phone and what have you. So it's difficult. Kev Whitmore said he did a chat with you last year about the ORX.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He did come on. We talked about the XB-ORX, and that was my first experience actually being able to talk to somebody about that because I think last year it had not been out very long at all, so not a lot of people had the chance to be able to talk about it. And so he was able to come in and talk about exactly how the machine works and everything else. I couldn't tell you about it right now. I don't know anything about the ORX, but I know he definitely does. In fact, everybody, including XP, were pointing at him as being the expert on this thing. So that's why he came on. I was so happy to get him in.
Somebody's just mentioned the YouTube stream as well, as I said, and I thought I'd best go over and see if there's any comments. I'm on my phone at the moment. You see me looking down. And there's loads of comments on there as well that I didn't know existed.
It's just insane. I couldn't even think about if I had so many moving parts like you guys do, I would have needed like 3 people behind me. But, I was the only one. I was the host, the producer, the director, and also the guy running all the audio and video and everything else at the same time while I'm trying to do a show. And that's why when we were live, it got kind of crazy all at the same time. I truly respect you guys for what you're doing because I know exactly what's going on.
It's Luke who sorted this, believe me. It's working well. Last week, I think last week's program with John Titchin and Jackie Smith, it was fantastic because the show was actually, without realising, the show was more visual than audio. It was better to watch it on the live stream than it was to listen to it because John was coming out with, his antics were fantastic and he was doing show and tell as well where he was holding bits and bops up to the camera. So it worked fantastically well last week.
The way I see you guys doing this is the future of podcasting. This is video podcasting, the audio that people listen to when in the cars, like everybody listening right now in their car. These are the people that are going to be coming in and watching these things live like this. It's just blowing my mind.
Yeah, it's good. It's as I say, it's totally not what we're used to. There'll be mistakes there. Myself especially, as I say, Luke's more or less got it bob on, but it just gives that extra little bit of something. I know there's different live streams going on at the moment, and people will be watching this, but at least they'll see this was available. We can share it again. As I said to you, Lance, we can send you the file of this and you can edit it and upload it onto your own YouTube. I think if I'm right, and Luke will poke me otherwise, but if, for instance, you are a guest on the show tonight, if I would have contacted you for YouTube details, we could have actually put this live onto your YouTube account as well, I think. So, we've got so many options that what we can. At the moment, I know it's on my own personal feed. It's on the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine page and group, the Big Metal Detecting radio show group, and the GDA group as well. So I shared that to it. So hopefully you've got GDA viewers as well. Come on.
Well, I hope. I have been absent for almost a year now on Facebook, so I apologize to everybody. Hopefully, eventually, I will be getting back and being a little bit more active. But it's one of those long recoveries from surgery and a bunch of health issues in the family, and yeah. So
and we will get it, Lance Writer. I'll come over and I'll kick you in the knee.
Okay. Now you got to promise to come over, because I got a place that we need to go metal detecting, which I hopefully will be hitting in the next couple months. So, in fact, I got a guest, somebody that flew out from the United States. I'm going to be hitting up with him next month and probably going metal detecting as well. So that's going to be really cool.
That sounds fantastic. It really does. Whereabouts? You're in Bavaria, aren't you?
Yeah, Bavaria, which is really good for me. Bavaria is like the only free metal detecting state. All the other ones either need licenses or permissions, or it's completely banned. Bavaria is the only place where you don't need any of those. I do personally go get permission from every single place that I go to, because I don't like being that guy that just shows up on somebody's field or out in the woods and the owner happens to be going through and, flips out about it. So I let them know and always give them the option to keep every single thing I find. So I usually don't have a problem with it. So most everybody, I think I've only had one person ever tell me no.
I actually tried to put somebody in communication with you a while ago, if you remember, an old friend of mine from one of my early jobs. But I think she wanted to try metal detecting, but I think the distance was a little bit too big.
Yeah, I think I can't remember exactly where she was, but I think she was further east of me. I think she was in, I can't remember which state is out there, German state. But yeah,
do they call them states in Germany? Obviously,
yeah,
as an American, they call it states, yeah.
Yeah, so you have Bavaria, in the state of Bavaria, the state of North Rhine-Westphalia. I don't know them all. There's 13 of them. Or 11 of them. I don't even know. I'm American. I'm a Yank.
Have you actually metal detected in America, Lance, or just in Germany?
Funny thing is, about 2 years ago, I went back to the United States, was there for a family reunion, and my sister, she owns a farm. So she has a whole bunch of horses, and she has this guy who comes out and shoes the horses for her. He's old school blacksmith, so he creates the shoes in the heat. He forms them. He hammers them completely. But the problem is he created a pair of shoes, or 4 shoes for a horse, and they were super expensive. So she had asked me, well, what kind of metal detector should I get? So I told her what was around. I have a buddy of mine, his name is Randall Garrett out of Texas, and he gave us a great deal on, it was a Garrett Ace 250, I think it was, 250. And so she got it for, I think it was about $175, so a real good deal. And so she got it, but she never used it. So a year later, I ended up showing up. She's like, Lance, can you go out and look for my horseshoes? And I went out, and I was metal detecting through her fields. And now there was nothing out there. We don't know where those shoes disappeared to, but I went through and did everything and found a whole bunch of nails. So,
bet you enjoyed it, though.
I did. And having about 15 family members just watching me all with beers in their hand was kind of funny, too. They're like, oh, he's taking something again. What do you find this time?
Did the beer get shared?
No. Once I got done, I went up there and I drank more beer than any of them, because I live in Germany, so I can handle beer a lot better.
Yeah, like the American beer that is low in volume, and obviously Bavarian beer is well known to be otherwise.
But yeah, that was the only time I was able to get out there. I was hoping to link up with a listener to the show who was from Seattle, but unfortunately I wasn't able to.
Do you know, Seattle will always ring a bell with me. When I was about 13, 14, I got somebody I knew was a member of this club where you get pen pals. They'll just send you a random person, they'll be pen pals. And I said, I'll have a go at that. So they sent me this document, and I posted it to my letter to this person in America. And we spoke for years. Honest to God, we spoke for years. Naomi Loving, her name was. Absolutely.
Really?
We lost contact, obviously, and then through the one day on Facebook, I just thought, I'll search her name. Found her, honestly, she's doing so well for herself. Still in Seattle, married, and, absolutely doing brilliantly for herself. And that's one good thing about social media. Obviously, we can do everything that we're doing now, but the communication that we've got with people from years ago that we didn't think you'd hear from again, it's fantastic.
Yeah. It truly is. I mean, I've linked up. I had a friend of mine, a really good friend of mine, die of a very rare disease about 3 years ago. And I started reaching out to some old friends that we grew up with, letting them know what had happened. And we've been in contact since, and it's just really fantastic. If used right, social media is truly unbelievable. But 90% of the world is using Twitter just to complain about something, and the other ones are defriending everybody on Facebook because of political beliefs. So if you use right, it's a great tool.
It is. Especially for this, I mean, we've got over 15,000 subscribers on our Facebook page, 3,000 in the group, 1,500 in the Big Peg. But we've got such a reach. Plus, we share it automatically. The show shares to Twitter and to Instagram, and all the different podcasts, the locations where the shows will be available. So the reach is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal for little reason, for little work, really.
Yeah, it's well, you gotta give Luke a really huge pat on the back on that one, because I know he's the one that's sharing this around everywhere with everything and making sure that every single link is connected and all the T's are dotted, on all the I's are crossed, and everything's moving as smoothly as possible.
He is. I can't speak highly enough for about Luke. I've said it multiple times in the past. I can't give enough plaudits to Luke for everything that he does. If it wasn't for Luke, probably the magazine would have been a lot different than it is.
Yeah, well, GDA would have been a lot different than what it ended up being as well.
Yeah, I'll never ever take the credit for anything that occurs. I always pass it on to other people. I always have, I always will. And if it wasn't for Luke, things would not be where they are with anything that we do regarding the magazine and the podcasts. Hence what people are watching now. Yeah, so Lance, sorry, carry on.
Yes, I think Scott just noticed the Cyclops comic sitting back here on the wall. It's actually a 1967 original X-Men comic. I think that's number 45. Yeah, number 45.
Here's a question. Remember a couple of years ago I sent you a load of Star Wars comics? And,
yes.
There was this make your own metal Millennium Falcon. Did you actually ever do it?
No, I didn't. You want to know why? I started taking it out, and I realized that I need better reading glasses to be able to see the little metal tabs on those, and then a pair of tweezers to bend every single one of them. It was insane. I think
I've actually got an R2-D2 one here as well, so I thought I had it, and I found it a couple of months ago. So one day I'll do that. With me tonight, we've got our lamp, and we've got, you'll love this, Lance. You know that Bop It game?
Yeah,
Bop It game.
Are you? Oh, that is too cool. Okay, now you've made me jealous. I don't think I have that one.
I'll send you it. Oh, he's going on still. C3PO's going on. Another thing I spotted on Facebook, over the Christmas period when everything was for sale on there, I Disturbed Friends Cards Against Humanity, these adult card games. Mm-hmm. I actually bought one thinking it would be okay for the kids. It was Harry Potter version. And I thought, oh, yeah, that'll be great. But he goes on about Hermione doing room things, etc. So I couldn't give it to the kids. There's actually a Star Wars version of the game as well now.
Is there?
So you can get drunk and play Star Wars Cards Against Humanity.
I'll have to look into that. Yeah, I'll definitely have to look into that. I know those things are extremely rude. I definitely know that. Which I don't even know how you thought that those would be good for kids. But I guess if you didn't know what it was, you wouldn't have known.
Well, as I said, it was there, and it was like Harry Potter. And I thought, oh, Harry Potter, that'll be fine. Yeah, I was wrong. I took the first card out and I put it back in. I went, yeah, kids can't have that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you win some, you lose some, and then you buy some toys for yourself.
You do. Usually metal detecting related. So
yeah, actually, mine all are, mostly.
The future, Lance, obviously XLII, is that right?
Yeah, 42.
XLII.
Just like in, Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, she's the answer to everything.
42, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. She'll be taking on the hosting duties of the GDA in the near future when everything's groovy, which obviously we will let people know and obviously share your episodes onto our social media as ever, so people get to hear that side of stuff. Because am I right in saying that you speak a lot to people in the US and other areas as opposed to the UK, or is it a whole area really?
I try to create Global Detection Adventures has the name global in it because what I wanted to do is encompass everybody. The ability, we all share the same hobby, we all share the same love, and being able to share all our finds with people outside of our little bubbles, I think can speak a lot better than trying to stick with a specific area. If I talk to somebody out of the United States and the next week somebody out of Singapore and then the next week after that Thailand, it would just be a truly amazing show. And that's what we try to do. We try to embrace everybody that loves the hobby as much as we do, and obviously every single person listening right now. And anybody can be a guest. To me, honestly, every single person that listens to the show can be a guest on it because everybody has their own stories. Everybody has why they went to metal detecting. Everybody has their favorite finds. Everybody has their favorite detectors. And so it's just being able to share it, I think, is what's fun about everything that we do, especially the podcast. But as far as me right now, the only thing I personally have going right now, because I don't produce or direct it, I do a Star Wars podcast called There Is Another. That one's still going. We're starting back up on Saturday, as a matter of fact. And we'll be talking about the new Star Wars episode movie and a whole lot of rumors coming out of Hollywood about what's coming up in the next couple of years.
I've got to say, Lance, The Mandalorian was absolutely superb. Inspired bit of TV.
Don't get on me about that.
What?
I live in Germany, and Disney Plus does not come out until March.
Lance, I've watched it on Showbox or something like that. I've watched it on.
I'll have to look up Showbox.
I will send you. I'll send you a link to an APK to put it on your phone.
We're not talking about any kind of illegal hosting sites for TV shows that aren't supposed to be outside of their hosting channel. So
absolutely not.
Yeah.
But yeah, I watched it on there anyway.
Hey, let me get Scotty. Whenever you get a chance, send me your address again. I got some stickers and patches for you guys. I'd love to send it off. They're the last of them.
Now, Scotty, I'm glad you raised Scotty's name. Scotty's got a bit of a big thing going on coming up in July. The website's now live. I'm just going to go into my... Did he text me or did he ring me? No, he messaged me. So, the Detecticon takes place in Northumberland in July of this year. It's the first event, massive event, via the North of Tyne Metal Detecting Group, which Scotty, I think, launched. So Detecticon, I'm just on the website now. They're very excited to announce they'll be holding a weekend rally this July. They have a whopping 1,400 acres of previously undetected land in a historically rich area near Bellingham, Northumberland. There'll be live evening entertainment, a marquee with traders, fully licensed bar, food stands, fire pit, prize raffle, on-site camping and much more. You can have full weekends, tickets, etc., etc. I think, looking at the website, it's only 10 miles from Hadrian's Wall, which, if you know what that is, Lance, Hadrian obviously made the wall to stop the Celts Scottish coming into England way back. So there's a hell of a lot going on, as I say, camping, food and drink. I think our friend Nigel from Foodie Doodies will be popping up. He's got some good photographs of bands who will be playing. And it looks like it's going to be a fantastic weekend. And obviously, as the British summertime, the British weather is all over the place at the moment. It doesn't know what it's doing. I'm sleeping with a pair of shorts on and no top on no cover on at the moment because it's that warm at night and it's bloody January. Yep. So come July, hopefully the weather will be great. Last year at Rodney Cook Memorial and Detectable, the weather was absolutely brilliant. Have I actually sent you a picture of my shed showing me that?
No.
I painted it TARDIS.
You got a TARDIS shed?
I painted the TARDIS colour, and then somebody said something, so they got all the signs, and it's now a perfect reproduction of the TARDIS.
That's hilarious. Is it bigger on the inside?
No, you're joking, aren't you, with all the stuff in there? So anyway, I will... I don't know if Luke's got the thingy, so I'm just going to send Luke over the link to the Detecticon site so he can hopefully pull it up on this video cast. But I'm greatly looking forward to that. We're also, as I say, we get Spring Detectable and Detectable and Rodney Cook this year. So they're the four main events that we're definitely going to be at. I've also got invites to other events, which hopefully time given. Mrs. Sadler's got a new job where she now has to work every other weekend, so hopefully I'll be able to make other events as well. So that's this year for us anyway. Me and Luke have got some pretty big news coming. Now, we've alluded to it since before Christmas, but I think we're going to be waiting till mid-February to actually release the details. We're just waiting for... Well, we need to have a meeting, and we need to speak to a few people, and hopefully we'll have some massive news, especially for both myself and Luke anyway. So looking forward to that immensely.
Well, I am too. I want to know what it is. Hit me offline.
I'll tell you offline.
Everybody else.
But yeah, it's a very, very, very exciting year. I'm still reverbing according to Luke, and I really don't know why. All my settings are as normal, so I apologise if there is reverb. I know
I've been hearing that as well, but I mean, I've been seeing that everybody says it, but it's not coming over to me at all. It's really weird.
How's that? No, it's still reverbing. I can hear myself. No idea.
Now, it might be coming from me.
Yeah, we'll blame Lance because we don't want something else to be going wrong.
I think what's happening is the sound is echoing through my cranium and coming back out, so I should probably close my mouth.
Do you know what? I was tidying up the other day as well. I've just spotted something. I found numerous business cards of people we met at Detectable, and it was very interesting because there's some fantastic YouTube channels. Rude Clean, the Toy Soldier Metal Detectee, double A in metal and detect I as in a tie. That was very interesting when I had a look at that. A friend of mine, United Cavers Exploration Team. I got a lot of information and images from Mick Murphy, who's the chairman there, so I got that as well. And whose was the other one? There was another one I've got. Treasure Hunting Outfitters. I think that was Mike Sabish's wife, Andy Sabish and Charlene Sabish. That was their shop in the US. So give that a look as well. Anyway, Lance, I said I'd be an hour, and we've been over an hour.
Yeah.
And I'm reverbing, so everybody's got. It's probably now like 2 3/4 hours with all the reverb. So I thank you immensely for coming on tonight. I know you were possibly not earlier with one of your injuries. You didn't want to sit for so long, and you were a bit wary of that.
Yeah, it just started kicking in again. I got a herniated disc in my back, in my lower back, and it's just started throbbing again. I got to go take my medicine.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed it, mate, and we really do appreciate. You know how long I've actually wanted to speak to you, and you know this actually seeing your face while we're talking as well, and the Star Wars products in the background as well. It's been great. Yeah, you're actually making my office behind me is terrible. In front of me is all right. It's got all my books everywhere.
You don't want me to even pan around. I've got so much crap sitting around here. There's a bag of Legos and some gummy straps because I wanted on my Rudis. I want to actually strap my cables down instead of have them just launching around like crazy.
Just before I go any further, Rootus actually the best things I think that Rootus have come up with, and they're these little babies to let me get it right. These little babies to connect your cord, keep your cord tight on your shaft. and Wyola actually brought me some and gave me them when we were at Detectable because I was saying how good I think they are because there's a lot of them are, with the Velcro and that, if you get muddied and that, I thought were perfect, absolutely fantastic.
I love those things. In fact, that's why I started getting these. All I'm going to do is just shorten these up a little bit just in case I lose one of the rubber ones that come with the Rudis, just so I can have this because there's nothing metal in these whatsoever. I specifically got that just for that case. So hopefully those will be good backups. But I'm definitely going to write Viola or Eric. Yeah, I think so. I just don't know why.
As I said, mate, it's been absolutely fantastic talking to you, listening to everything you said. I really appreciate you going into depth about the mental side of your life and how things have affected you, and I'm sure other people do as well. I'm not going to give everybody a rundown. I usually give a rundown of everybody to thank for the show, and I'm not going to do it tonight because apparently my sound is absolutely knackered and people can't understand me. But anyway, the reverb, I don't understand why. I'll work on that this week and get that fixed, hopefully. But Lance, thank you. It's been an absolute pleasure and an honour to speak to you tonight.
Anytime, if you need anyone to jump in, give me a call. I'll definitely do everything I can.
Fantastic. Everybody, thank you. Pleasure as always, as I say to Lance. Thank you all and have a great week, and we'll speak to you next week. Hopefully, we're just awaiting confirmation. Mr. Stephen Gray of Anglo-Celtic Metal Detecting. Have a great week, everybody. Good night.
Let's dig it up, y'all.
The Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine acts as a hub for information, offering articles from archaeologists, detectorists and other specialists throughout the genre, featuring many links, event info and news articles associated to archaeology and metal detecting. We also offer professional review services and promotion for books, resources, videos, documentaries, gadgets, equipment and much, much more. The magazine is run by the archaeological and metal detecting community for the archaeological and metal detecting community. So come visit us at archmdmag.com, that's archmdmag.com, and check out information from our media section with all the latest content, news from the Archaeology channel, podcasts and the YouTube channels that feature the now legendary Digger Dawn, The Man with the Hat and Archeo Duck, just to name a few. If you would like to offer an article, link or inquire about other services, then pay us a visit at archmdmag.com and drop us a line.